Now, the explosion resulted in a crater in the city street near an apartment building. Videos, in fact, showed debris and rubble littering the street as people were walking near the smoky ruins. Surrounding buildings were also blackened out by the blast, which shattered windows and damaged the parked cars.
Я со второго этажа, на меня все завалилось с третьего. Все повылетали, и все окна, и все на свете. Меня спасатели по лестнице вытянули с окна. Все завалило. Я только успела, попросила хоть туфли надеть и сумку с документами взять.
Just, seeing the horrific nature of this missile strike, which Ukraine claims was targeted at civilians in the Kharkiv region. And this is something new that's not happened in the last many months. Why do you think there has been a change? Is this an error on the part of the Russians, or is this something that has been deliberately done to try and target the civilians in Ukraine?
When you try to make sense of a horrific attack like this in a combat zone, there's two things you have to keep in mind. First of all is that all warfare is based on deception. And the second thing is that all war is a horrible, brutish, catastrophic destruction of human life. And in this case, what that means is it's possible that this happened exactly as Ukraine said, that it was just a sheer civilian target, had no military value, and it was just a brutal, murderous attack by Russia to try and make Ukraine cower in fear. That's possible, and we don't really have any idea to know anything different. However, it's also possible that what the Russian side said was true, is that there were Ukrainian troops or even NATO troops in a subterranean area below that, and that they went after that, and the civilians were killed as a result of that. Who knows which is true? The only thing we know for absolute certain is that all of these civilians were caught in the crossfire and were killed. It could also have been a mistake by Russia. They may have been targeting something else, or they may have had bad intelligence, because all of that happens also in war. And really, to underscore the problem is that it's hard to know in any time, especially from this far out, what actually happened, because the hard truth is that there are documented cases where sometimes Ukraine has put military infrastructure inside civilian areas, which were later attacked, and some were observed even by camera inexplicably or unintentionally by the Ukraine side. So there could be plausible on either side, but again, I just have to reiterate, the civilians in the middle of that were the victims of it, and their lives are snuffed out, and that's why this war should come to an end.
But now with the weather about to change and winter about to set in the next few weeks, the talk is that the Russians could be staging a winter offensive. What do you make of that?
There was a little observed interview on Sky News a couple of days ago with a member of the Ukrainian parliament, where they actually admitted that they had only captured less than 1% of the territory as a result of this 4 months of the counteroffensive. And look, the fact is they have used everything they had. It took 6 months to prepare for this. All of the ammunition, the weapons, the training, the intelligence support from the West to the Ukraine side, and it uniformly failed. And there is no valid basis upon which now to suggest that somehow in the spring of 24, which is what Ukraine's already talking about trying to gain new forces for, that would have any success beyond that. And as you point out, there is also at least some evidence to suggest that Russia has been waiting to weaken the Ukraine side in these defenses so that they can go on their own offensive in the winter. It remains to be seen whether that could happen, but it's certainly within the old Soviet doctrine is how they used to conduct forces. And that's something that Ukraine is going to have to contend with.